Welcome back to Valley Chats, presented by First Bank. Today, two of my favorite sons, Paul Westphal and Jeff Hornacek. Jeff joining us first, the former Suns player, former Suns head coach, but forever a Suns fan favorite. Great to see you, Jeff. How is life back here in Arizona?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, it's nice. With all this craziness, we were able to get back here. We were actually in San Diego for a while and got here back early. Been able to sit out in this nice weather than, cooped up at home. What better place to be than Phoenix? And we got our daughter here, who we got her out of New York just in time. And right now we have our oldest son and his wife and our little grandson. So we're having a lot of fun.
That's a dream for any father. But we'll talk about Abby in a second. But first, just the fact that you're still here in Phoenix. I mean, talk about that connection with the fans and the city, because yeah, you could live in California or back in Utah, but this is still home for you and Stacy.
Yeah, here in Utah seemed to be, I played for Philly, and we'll kind of just ignore that part of my 1.5 year career there. But, I think we were part of that team that went from 28 wins and, things were pretty grim here in Phoenix. I think they actually wanted to sell the team or wanted the team to get out of Phoenix. And all of a sudden we make a trade for Kevin and Mark West and Tyrone Corbin. And then later in the season, I think just after that, maybe Eddie, maybe it was at the same time. I can't remember the timing of it. And then signing TC and, all of a sudden we're winning 55, 56 games every year, which really turned the city around, it seemed like at that time. And, that was a lot of fun because we were a high-scoring team, between Tom and Kevin and Eddie. And then Dan, obviously was the rookie maybe that year when he came in. So we had great chemistry with that team. It was a lot of fun.
Well, you certainly established a name for yourself. You still have all that popularity here, but it might be dwarfed by your daughter, Abby. My goodness, her media star is rising quickly.
We are 282 feet below sea level.
From the borax stone once mined in Death Valley to an art studio in Las Vegas, I try my hand at glass blowing.
It's a giraffe!
Plus, a daring 855-foot sky jump in the heart of Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared.
I've seen some of her Instagram videos, some of the trick shots that I'm sure you've worked with her on that. You're probably the choreographer.
No, she does all that. I do
not.
She picks these shots. I'm like, you're not going to make that. And all of a sudden she makes, I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I have to try to do it. And
he's playing in the gutter.
That was good.
Oh! I hope I got that.
It's a lot of fun because she's pretty good at basketball.
And she's really good at TV too. Working with Fox, she's got the Parked show, the Drive to Work with Abby, and now you and she are collaborating on the Guarding Jordan piece, which is fantastic. What's it like having her back in the house?
Yeah, no, we're so proud of her that, she took this path and she worked in Chicago for a couple of years for sports. You gave her a start doing some things when with the Suns, the Raceway show, and just to watch her take off and we get comments from the people that she works with, how fun it is to have her, how fresh, a breath of fresh air. And, she's doing these shows that what better job can you have going around to the national parks and do adventures and talk about the parks. And, it's just every time it's like, now your daughter's on TV, you see them on TV, you're going, that's really cool. And they're doing great jobs. And we couldn't be more proud of her. So, her shows are fantastic. The people seem to love them. And, we've watched them, I don't know. You know how it is. Those shows get on there. We watch them maybe 10, 15, 20, 50 times. I don't know. So it's great to see her, progress in this business. And it's great to have her back because we don't get to see her that often because she is so busy. So this couple months that we've had her back has been special.
She is a natural. Is she around? Where's she at? She's got to be there.
He's only saying those things because I'm sitting right
there
here.
She is. She's getting ready for a show at noon that she has to do. So she was getting a little warmth before our cold air-conditioned house.
He knew that I was sitting right here, but he
I
probably really wanted.
I saw you sneak in there.
He probably wanted to say, "Wow, I think it's time Abby goes back to New York. All she does is eat all our food."
Oh, guys, great to see you. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you so much.
Well, what's it like for you to be back home with mom and dad?
It's the best. I feel like I'm in high school again. And I was thinking when I came here, there's no other time as an adult that you can be home with your parents for so long. So I've been able to hang out with them all day and help with cooking. And of course I unload the dishwasher and I do all of the, I'm just kidding. I'm probably a terrible house guest, but it's nice to be home with the family.
And now you're an aunt. Your dad is a grandpa. Because Ryan had the baby boy, Frank, he and his wife.
He did.
How has that changed everything? You guys have to be just thrilled.
Frank is the favorite child, I say now. You know, me, Tyler, and Ryan have both been pushed to the wayside. It's all about Frank now. No, he's the most adorable little baby. I'm sure you agree. I show everyone. He's not even my baby, and I show everyone pictures of him. So it's great. It's great having him here, too.
Am I allowed to call you Grandpa?
No.
I didn't think so. Abby, it's great to see you. We're going to take a quick break here on Valley Chats. More with Jeff Hornacek. We'll dive into his career with the Phoenix Suns when we come back.
Do you want to win free tickets to every Suns home game next season? Then just watch and win. Tune into the Suns Day Classic broadcast on Fox Sports Arizona and look for a special code word. Enter the code word online at suns.com/watch or on the Suns and Talking Stick Resort Arena app. Don't miss your chance to win 2 PayPal 6-man season ticket memberships for next season. Enter right now using the code word on the screen.
Feel a transformation coming within our culture of our team, our city, and now our arena. Valley boys and girls, the future is looking super bright.
Ray Jr. makes thunderous left hand. Moving the drive.
This is our house. Make this your house.
Jeff Hornacek, who at the foul line is at 97% this season, leading the NBA.
This guy's one of the great shooters that's ever lived.
Welcome back to Valley Chats. A little bit later, we'll have Paul Westphal currently talking to Jeff Hornacek, a former Suns player and coach who Danny Ainge just called. This was when Danny Ainge was an analyst on TNT, one of the greatest shooters to ever live when you won the second of back-to-back three-point shootouts. I mean, Jeff, who was your inspiration as a shooter growing up?
Well, I think Danny said that because the first time I got in a three-point contest, I said, you know, I kind of shoot like Danny Ainge. So that's probably why he's saying that. My inspiration of playing, shooting, I don't know about shooting, but Isaiah Thomas played at my dad's high school. So I watched him, you know, from being a little kid. So I kind of tried to take – and I played in a pickup game with him. I've told the story before where I was just the young – you know, he was maybe 2-3 years older than me, and I was like a freshman. And in a pickup game, and I was just cutting underneath the basket, just getting out of the way, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this ball, and I just went, oh, caught it and laid it in. And that one play always stuck with me as a passer, that as long as the defender's not looking, you can throw the pass. The guy's open. He may look like he's covered. And so, you know, assist-wise, that's kind of what I always went by. But, you know, playing-wise, I just kind of watched everybody. I don't think there was any one particular shooter. Probably a lot of credit goes to Walter Davis. I see his jersey up behind you there because Walt and I, when I came in the league, we used to go over to La Mancha, that health club over 19th and Northern, and we were there every day shooting. And, you know, we spent hours just over and over and over. And, you know, one thing Walt did was when he caught the ball would always kind of spin in his hand. And I asked him, I said, Walt, what are you doing? How come it looks like you're not even catching the ball right? And he goes, well, I'm lining up the seams. And, you know, the NBA ball has those thick seams. And so I started doing it, going, okay, the consistency is there. If you're always catching your fingertips on the seam, you know how it's coming off your hand. You know, if you catch it mid-ball, it's a little more slippery and it's a little different. So I started doing that, and I felt like that helped me. And, you know, my wife, Stacy, when I changed my shot, you know, Jerry Colangelo, my first year, I didn't shoot the ball great. And I had the side spin on it. And he goes, you need to change your shot. So, you know, I went to the gym, figured out, okay, I'm using my left thumb too much. So I taped it, and I had my wife, Stacy, rebounding for me. And so I used to tell the story at the camps that, you know, so Stacy went and sat on the side because I was shooting so many shots. She was maybe a little worn out, and I wasn't making shots. And she goes, just point at the basket. And I was, you know, kind of frustrated I wasn't making them. And I was like, what do you know, you know? And of course, like any other time, about 5 shots later, I said, okay, maybe if I just point to the basket, because you could follow through. You know, people say, oh, you got to follow through, but you know, you could follow through like this or off to the side. As long as you point at the hoop, the ball is going to go that way. And so I started doing it. They started going in. So the combination of working with Walt, having Jerry tell me to change my shot, and my wife telling me what to do, maybe that's it.
Well, I'm so glad you brought up Walter Davis, because you're going to hate me for this question. So I apologize in advance, but it's quarantine time. We're all going a little crazy. So I kind of came up with this custom quarantine question for you. I mean, the Suns have had some great pure shooters in their history. Yourself, Paul Westphal, Walter Davis, Eddie Johnson, now Devin Booker. All right, that's 5 guys. So you're in the huddle now. You're the coach. You have the other 4 staring at you in your face. 5 seconds left. You're down 2. Who gets the shot?
Well, I'm going to give it to Eddie, because Eddie and I used to drive to the games together. So if I didn't call a play for him, he wouldn't give me a ride home. You're making it a little tough there. You know, all those guys are great shooters. You know, you got Tom, you got Kevin, you could throw in there as a guy with the ball in their hands. I don't know, Tom. You're the coach. Who you giving it to?
I go to Walter Davis because of his elevation. I mean, he hit a shot in the playoffs against Utah one time where I think it was Darrell Griffith, who can jump out of the gym, was right on him, but he elevated over the top. And, yeah, just to get a shot off, I go Sweet D.
Yeah, no, he's Walt was a great shooter. And, you know, I think, like you said, his elevation on his shot, like he really got up in the air before he released it. And so he could avoid, you know, Westy probably had all kind of trick things. He would get off a shot somehow, some way. Eddie, if somebody set a screen for him, you know, he's going to knock that down. So a lot of good choices there.
Yeah, you're right. Westy twisting, turning, getting his shot off. He's going to be joining us next. And you were so creative with your shots, different release points, floaters, right hand, left hand. Westy won a bunch of horse competitions back in the day. So would you feel pretty confident one-on-one against Paul Westphal that you could beat him in a game of horse? And I'm not saying today, like back in your primes.
Yeah, it would have been fun to do. Well, you know, it's funny because Paul was obviously more athletic than I was. And you just, when you're not the high flyer guy, you got to learn all those other things to get shots up. And, you know, if the guy's 7 foot and he's going to go try to block a shot, you just got to shoot it higher. So growing up at my house, we had a wire in the yard that I used to shoot over. So it wasn't that big a deal to you know, put high arcs and, you know, float them up runners, that kind of stuff. So, you know, but Paul had all those things. I don't know. That would have been a pretty tough one. I don't know how many people know that when I was playing with that group with Tom and all them, Paul and Lionel were our assistant coaches. And they used to, when we would stretch every morning, we'd be at the center circle stretching, and Paul and Lionel would be playing one-on-one down at one of the baskets. And so we'd stretch and watch those guys. And they were, you know, I don't know, they were probably late 30s maybe at that time. So they were fresh out of the league maybe for a few years. And they would argue about fouls, and, you know, they'd get after it. We would laugh. And then one day they weren't playing. And we're like, how come you guys aren't playing? And they said, well, our wives told us we couldn't play because we kept arguing when they went out for dinners and stuff. They'd argue about fouls. So that whole time, you know, I go back to that group with when we changed around, and Paul, and obviously with Cotton coaching, how he let everybody just play their game. And and felt free to hey, if you want to. Cotton told me one time, he goes, if you get an open 18-foot shot, I don't care if it's 3 seconds into the shot clock, take it, because we're not going to get a better shot later on. You end up someone will be covered. So it's like, well, okay, thanks, coach. So, I think probably what Paul and Lionel and Cotton, that coaching staff just kind of, they just let you play, which our guys liked.
That must have driven Cotton crazy, because as you guys are stretching, you've got Westy and Lionel with the intensity of their one-on-one, and then the intensity at practice just way below that. It's like, didn't you just see these guys? This is what I want. This is the kind of intensity and effort. Finally, Jeff, one question for you to end this Valley Chats. What's next? What's next for Jeff Hornacek? I know coaching is in your blood. You're a fantastic coach. You have so much to offer the game, but what is it? What's next for you?
Yeah, just looking for a right opportunity of, the team. I'd like to be on a team that, whether it's head coach or, assistant coach or whatever, that has a chance at a championship. We all want that. Never achieved it as a player. I got close a couple times, but, even as coaching, you're competitive. And, if the right situation comes out there, I definitely want to get back into coaching and doing some things. I'm having fun spending time with my wife and watching the kids do their thing. But, we're still relatively young, so the gray hairs aren't maybe showing it, but to not continue coaching in some capacity. And, whether it's on the NBA or maybe even college, it's something I thought about a long time ago. I don't know at what level I would do that, but it's fun to be around the game. That's why I grew up playing, watching, and you always want to be involved some way.
And as long as you continue to make Phoenix, Arizona your base camp, and you better, because you got the new house. So, if you get another job, congratulations, but keep coming back to Phoenix. And thank you so much for your time. Thank Abby for dropping in. Give my best to Stacy and Ryan and Tyler. And of course, Frank.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Tom. It's Phoenix is a place that, we've made home for a long time. And even though we go other places and come back, the people here are great. We've been lucky. Either Phoenix or Utah have been great to us. And we're just glad to be back.
All right. See you at Hillstone, I hope, sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right.
All right.
Next, Paul Westphal joins us on Valley Chats.
The Valley, El Valle. This is who we are. A community bound by perseverance and tested by life in the desert. We are fighters and innovators.
Here's Mag to the rim and
with the common goal of a better tomorrow. And when we get knocked down, we get back up. When we are challenged, we are ready.
It's good! She got it! The GOAT delivers again!
In dark times, we know that if we pull together, we will rise again. And together, we will be stronger. Because together, hope will thrive. Together, we are the Valley.
Welcome back to Valley Chats, presented by First Bank. First we had Horny, now we have Westy. Paul Westphal, Basketball Hall of Famer, class of 2019. Right off the bat, Paul, biggest perk of being an NBA Basketball Hall of Famer?
I get introduced as a Basketball Hall of Famer by guys like you.
Nice. Well, I'm going to go through the list of all the Hall of Fames you're in. That's going to be in the next segment. That could take about 5 minutes. So I'll move on. But the last few weeks, we've had a chance to talk to Charles Barkley and Jeff Hornacek and yourself. And it's just amazing how many of you still call Phoenix home, at least for part of the year.
Phoenix is so great. I think after you've had a chance to live other places, you really can appreciate it. And I think that's what happened. That's why so many people come back.
All right. In the previous segment with Jeff Hornacek, I need to get you up to date. He was talking about preparing for practices. under Cotton Fitzsimmons, and then the assistant coaches, Paul Westphal, Lionel Hollins. He said while they were stretching, you and Lionel were playing intense one-on-one matchups. Were you trying to set the tone for practice?
We did have some intensity. Lionel was fouling me all the time, and we like argue and get mad, and our wives finally told us we couldn't play one-on-one anymore. So that Jeff was right. That stuff did happen.
Yeah, and you guys, your stories are accurate too, because you're saying the same thing. Both of your wives saying, "Hey, stop playing one-on-one against each other." So thanks for corroborating that. Do you see similarities between yourself and Jeff Hornacek? Both of you, two of the best pure shooters in NBA history, of course, Suns history, both born to coach. You treated all of your players like men with respect. And then as players, as scorers, you were so clever and creative. I just find it almost ironic that we have both of you on this One Valley Chats, and I see so many similarities.
Well, that's high praise. I wasn't as good a shooter as Jeff. I was probably a little bit more athletic, but he's one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen. I couldn't shoot like that guy could. He was automatic, and we're roughly the same size, and so I can see the comparisons. But I appreciate that because he's one of the greats.
And great human beings, both of you. One of the questions I posed to Jeff, and now it's going to be your turn, is talking about some of the great pure shooters in Suns history. We have yourself and Jeff Hornacek. We have Eddie Johnson. We have Devin Booker. We have Walter Davis. And I forgot Steve Nash with Jeff Hornacek, so I'm going to throw him in there as well. You're now the coach, and you have those other 5 players that I just mentioned. Hopefully I went through them not too quickly so you could figure out who's in your huddle. 5 seconds left. You're down by 2. Who do you draw a play up for?
Probably Walter Davis, because if it's not a 3, I mean, Walter didn't particularly care about 3s, but his mid-range was lethal. I mean, he did not miss mid-range jump shots. And so if you could get a shot for Walter, I think that's the guy. But every one you mentioned, you can't go wrong with any of those guys.
Yeah, well, Jeff picked Eddie Johnson only because EJ drove him to the games and to practice, so he didn't want to piss him off.
You got to know where your bread's buttered, I guess.
Yeah, and just so you know, great minds think alike. Jeff asked me who I thought. I said Walter Davis. So that was a really good answer, and I appreciate you backing me up on that.
Well, the only time, I mean, John McLeod would take Walter out every time he missed because he figured if he missed, he must be tired. And that guy was a machine. He was amazing.
Great. All right, we're going to take our first time out here on Valley Chats with Westy, Paul Westphal. When we come back, we're going to talk about our bucket lists.
I feel a transformation coming within our culture of our team, our city, and now our arena.
Valley boys and girls, the city is continuing to grow. The future is looking super bright as this transformation comes along, and it's only going to be up from here.
We have something special going on here. People are going to love coming here, and we're going to start a big thing here.
Cam Johnson in the corner. Suzanne.
The team is transforming, and this building is going to transform along with them.
Baines takes it down and bunkers it. With a right-handed rim wrecker.
This is our house. Make this your house.
What a thrill here on Valley Chats with Jeff Hornacek and now with Paul Westphal. Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, College Basketball Hall of Fame, USC Hall of Fame, Southern California Basketball Hall of Fame, Grand Canyon University Hall of Fame. Oh yeah, and the Suns Ring of Honor. That's pretty good stuff.
I was so blessed, Tom. It's unbelievable to be able to do what I love to do for as long as I did. And then those honors are incredible icing on the cake. But I honestly never did it for the honors. It was just great to be able to play and coach that long.
And I know I left some more out, probably Southwestern Baptist Bible College, the one where you started everything here in Phoenix. Man, I could talk to you for a half hour just about that start to your coaching career. But you coached and played in the finals for the Suns. Which was more stressful, Paul?
I think coaching is more stressful. When you're playing, you're worried about something physical. You just go do it. And when you're coaching, you have to worry about a whole lot of sideshow type things and things you really can't control. Plus, you have to be able to explain it to the media. So it's a lot. It's a lot more moving parts when you're coaching.
Yeah, but you were always so confident anyway. You just predicted victory no matter if you were down 0-2 or whatever. So I appreciate that. The Madhouse is back. The Mercury are going to be playing there, and if the NBA season continues, maybe even the Suns are back there. You were an assistant coach for the final NBA game, 1992 playoffs against Portland. That place was deafening. Are you excited to see it back in action?
Absolutely. It's so fun to have been a part of that history. That building is in the middle of a neighborhood. and it just was so laid back and exemplary of how Phoenix was in those days. It was happening there, and it was low key, but it was big time. It was really fun.
And our editor, Tommy Arguelles, I think he actually hit the Madhouse with one of his drives over in Encano 9 the other day, but it's always fun to go play that. Okay, quarantine. Lots of time to think. I've come up with my bucket list. I want yours. I'm going to New Zealand at some point. I want to go to the Masters and mountain bike in Moab, Montana. How about you? What's on your bucket list?
You said you were going to ask me a bucket list question. I thought it was about basketball. You're talking about, I don't have a bucket list, Tom. Every day with my wife is just the best day ever. So what do I need a bucket list for?
Wow, you just scored more points than you ever did in your NBA career. You're smarter than I thought. All right, so
I'm sitting in the other room.
Oh, hi, Cindy.
Hello, I'm sitting in the other room. That was for me. Thank you very much.
You deserve it. Well, if you want, just come around the back. You can watch this because I'm dusting off some trophies back from 1978-79. You can see the dust, literally.
What are those?
So one is MVP of the Adams Westphal camp. The other was my one goal was to win Defensive Player of the Camp, and I still have that. Paul, that was 42 years ago. Oh my God.
That's amazing. Boy, the talent level must have been really down that year.
Wow. Dude, I just was going through all of your Hall of Fame listings, and you did that to me at the end of Valley Chats. I so deserve that because really these are about the only trophies I ever won. I really actually paid for them.
Did you have a picture of Joe Prosky awarding that to you?
I asked him. He said no. He wouldn't take photos without compensation. So anyway, I gave it a shot. Paul, you are the best. I say that to all of you guys, but man, it's such a thrill. Thank you for your time. Hopefully we get to hang out some more, either on Valley Chats or run into each other once this quarantine is over. Give a big hug to Cindy. She loves you even more now than she ever has.
Tom, you're the best. Thank you. It was great. Anytime. This is really fun.
Special thanks to our editor, Tommy Arguelles, and our producer, Mark Goldberg. We'll see you next time on Valley Chats, presented by First Bank.